is the reaction to the wedding speech. 3 days later, Meghan's wedding pledge to campaign was highlighted by the Times. Her legions of admirers commented the newspaper, seeing her a princess, not a preacher. Even the cheerleaders for her feminism, suggested the newspaper, hoped she understood the fine line to tread in public. The newspaper continued, clearly she has no intention of giving up her activism, and yet it carries clear risks. Activism strays easily into politics, and it is an iron law of the constitutional monarchy, of which she is now a part, that its members stay out of politics if they want it to survive. The warning was explicit. In her new role, she is a princess, not a politician, and she will have to find a way to be content with that. Duchesses don't campaign, and they don't fight back. So even the papers who would have celebrated her desire to be a breath of fresh air, and who wanted the image of new, but not necessarily a new behavior, but at least a new visual, were concerned about this proclamation that she was going to start new campaigns. She, again, is not a politician. And I find it wild that you would use your wedding day to give your speech and to pivot suddenly from your love for your husband to, and I'm here to start new campaigns. It was a proclamation that, and I've used this prince that I found so that I can make much of myself. I'm not marrying him. I'm marrying this new level of fame, fortune, and global familiarity. Harry should have been super offended that she did that, because she couldn't even stop herself from celebrating the fact that she had now reached the pinnacle of her personal success at his cost. The measured caution did not appeal to everyone. Tom Bradley, a TV journalist known for his friendship with William and Harry, foresaw problems if the palace officials did not endorse Meghan's demands. Writing in the Sunday Times, apparently on the Sussexes' behalf and aware of the tensions between Meghan and her staff, Bradley applauded Meghan, who has yet to put a foot wrong in public. Yeah, in public, but what does it matter if you can be perfect in public? Because eventually the poison will seep out. You can only be so beautiful on the outside for so long when you're rotting on the inside. And so this whole public persona that she's created might be beautiful on the outside. It's rotting from within. And nobody who is standing there working for her, whose fingers are bleeding from all the work they've done, whose nose has been worn off from the grindstone, is going to stand there and go, oh yeah, she's never put a foot wrong in public. Well, you just wait. You just wait, because all of these people who are being, horse whipped into submission are eventually going to come out and be like, enough. Or Meghan is going to just step in it. She does. This is the thing. This heightened level of narcissism, hatefulness, divisive personality, and just general unkindness it will bear fruit. It will. There is natural law set in place that when people act a certain way, certain things will happen. It is without exception. You cannot go through life being a fake, being a liar, being a horrible person, being unkind, being mean and cruel, and think that you are going to live your entire life as a success and meet the grave, and no one's ever going to be any of the wiser. Well, he hailed her mixed race background as a PR department's dream to refresh the royal brand. This is what I'm saying. All anybody could do when they praised her was to talk about the color of her skin. But other than just the generalizations of she's an activist, she's a feminist. Okay, but how? How is she an activist? How is she a feminist? How has she used her platform thus far to do and to continue to do things that would regress causes that she says are important? This is the vast difference between her and Princess Diana. Princess Diana had three main causes. She was very open and honest about bulimia and eating disorders. She was very caring, and she was on the front lines of care for AIDS. She cared about landmines and the dismantling of landmines to save human beings' lives from, ambling into these devastating environments. And she was consistent about those things, and in private was consistent about them. Not just, I'll do it when there's a camera on me. It was, I'll go secretly into these children's hospitals and sit with the kids when no one knows I'm here. She cared about those things in very real way. Did she benefit from that in public? Yes, she did. And did she know she benefited from it? I'm sure she did. But still, there was enough of her care and genuine empathy for people in their plight that it wasn't just for the cameras that she would do these things. And that is the complete difference between Meghan. Meghan, and this is the true of every narcissist out there, or any person who is wildly selfish. It doesn't matter if they can live with themselves if what they're doing is not true. People who are healthy inside can't live with themselves as the fake that they are. If they want to go out and pretend to be a thing, but they know that there is a reality that doesn't support the picture, people who are mentally and emotionally healthy, that really bothers them. And they don't take pride from success that they were not able to claim on real terms. A narcissist has no problem claiming success that has nothing to do with them or that they've stolen from somebody else. If they can manipulate the actions of somebody else and take that success for themselves, they feel that success is rightfully and genuinely theirs. And that's who Meghan is. She says she wants to be like Princess Diana, but what has she done that shows she really cares about the causes that she purports to care about? Anyway, at least she's mixed race. That is not a feather in anybody's cap. Harry's friend put the burden on the royal family and said that the Sussexes could be the family's natural rock stars, but it was going to be a complicated balancing act. And basically, the royal family needed to stop being so stuffy and just let Harry and Meghan be however they were going to be and accept that. Because they could be rock stars if only, the royal family didn't try to clip their wings. Please. Other writers were divided about the marriage. Margot Jefferson, the author of Negroland, elevated Meghan to the achievement-conscious black bourgeoisie. Harry, she believed, was fortunate to be, quote, marrying up to a woman with money and opinions. Well, I don't know if she's got money. I think that's kind of why she hooked up with Harry, thinking he was the one with some money. June Sarpong, the broadcaster, welcomed that the royals were beginning to resemble the rest of us. What do you mean? That they're now trashy just like the rest of us? What do you mean by that? Do you mean, now that they have some diversity in the color of their skin and so marginally that most of us didn't even know she was black? Is that what you mean? See, this is why I think that this is just an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to make such a big deal about the color of somebody's skin, because how does this, I've said this so many times, how does this add to value? Like, on an absolute foundational level, how does the color of somebody's skin add value to an institution? People's behavior, people's compassion, people's empathy, their heart, their work ethic, their desire for the greater good, their genuine desire for the greater good, the fact that their actions their words are backed up by action, like those are the things that are value added behaviors. The color of somebody's skin neither adds to nor takes away from an institution. And the fact that we've gotten to a point now where everybody is, not everybody, but there is a contingency of the population that wants to continue to say the balcony is too white, the balcony is too white. Okay, well, what if you got somebody with the darkest skin imaginable, but who'd hacked a couple of people to death? Does that add value to the balcony? Nobody is going, I understand what people are saying when they say we are a multiracial, multicultural, multi-ethnic community in England now. This is much more of a mixing pot than it was when the monarchy began. So why is it that we are never represented in this monarchy? Because if you're supposed to represent us, you sure don't look like us. If you want to say that the worth of the royal family is based on the color of their skin, you're just treading in some really dangerous waters. Because what if the royal family all disappears? What if the royal family, as we know them, all disappears, and in their place, another monarchy is set up, and they reflect the diversity that is in the streets? Will that make them more worthy of representation for Britain? To act like the institution of the monarchy, you either accept it or you don't accept it. But the visual on the balcony, like people who don't like the fact that, the balcony is all white, you just don't like the monarchy itself, though. I mean, these are the same people who are complaining all the time that it's the monarchy's terrible. Why do we even have it? Why do we have this old institution from like thousands of years ago? We need to, dismantle it. We don't need to have it. They waste our tax, all this junk. So why do you really care about what they look like? You just want to whine and complain because you don't like them anyway. You've already made that, enormously clear that you think that they have no place in the modern world. So you're telling me is that, but if their skin color looked different, then they could have a place? Do you hear how racist that is? You don't have a place in this world unless you're the right color skin, then I'll let you in. Like that's just fundamentally broken thinking. Okay, well, we've got to move on. But continuing on this same racial trend of, the royal family is the worst. They said that this person named Kehinde Andrews, a strident professor of Black Studies at Birmingham City University, was scathing. And this individual said, the royal family is perhaps the most identifiable symbol of whiteness in the world. It is absurd to think that one Black woman can transform an institution so rooted in colonialism and whiteness. What is this whiteness? I mean, I am super duper duper offended and grossed out by that blanket term. I mean, imagine the flip side of that statement. If somebody said, I can't stand this institution because of their Blackness, it's unacceptable. And I never thought I'd talk so much about race when I was talking about this book. I mean, I guess I should have realized I would be, but if I tell you that I can't stand something because of, if your problem, if you're coming at race from the idea that white people have always been, and by the way, this is all such erroneous thinking. But if I believe erroneously that white people are the reason that every other race has always had a boot on their neck, if this is the line I believe, and this is the lie I've been fed, and I'm holding it with all my heart, what sense does it make to then turn the tables and be the bully that I claim that the others were? To say, because you always had a boot on my neck, as soon as I get the upper hand, I'm going to smash your face. Then I am the same as the thing that I have criticized. So this is just some of the most broken, jacked up thinking I have ever encountered in all my life. It is so petty, and it's like preschool playground behavior. I perceive that this thing happened that I don't like, so I'm going to turn around and do that same thing that I don't like. How can you be a professor of anything if that is what a poor thinker you are? For Professor Andrews, Meghan was not Black enough. Oh gosh, this old thing. Her skin, he said on CNN, was too fair. Her hair was not afro, and her nose was not flat. She represents, he wrote, the image of Blackness that we have been sold as acceptable and marketable. Well, okay. Thanks for letting us know what a racist you are. That if a person doesn't have an afro and a flat nose and is, not the right tint of Black, then they don't get to represent you. I mean, what is it that you're looking for? And see, that's the problem. There's this sliding scale of what is and is not acceptable to these kinds of thinkers. And I just think you have made a career based on being a whiny nightmare, because nothing you're saying really matters, and whatever you are given, the goalpost will move. You just want to complain. You want to be victimized. You know what I thought about the other day? I was reading some books to my kids, and the book that I was reading to them was like this old book from like maybe the 40s or 50s or something. It's this silly little book about this tugboat. The tugboat's called Little Toot. And he's this frivolous little tugboat. His whole family's a bunch of hard workers, but not him. He wants to sail around and be silly. And everybody despises him because it's like, we got real work to do, but you just want to be frivolous and silly. Finally, he sees one day his father and his grandfather pulling this huge ocean liner out to sea. And he sees them all working and being industrious. And he's by himself playing like he is every day. And he starts feeling like, I don't want to be frivolous and stupid anymore. Like, I want to join in with this community that I'm a part of. So anyway, it's like this whole story about how he like becomes a tugboat that actually does some work. Okay, it sounds like a silly story, but as I was reading it, I was really sad because I thought I have not read a children's book like this in our current age. We don't read books about doing hard things. We don't read books about overcoming our own limitations, the ones that we set on ourselves because we just want everything to be easy all the time and we want it to be fun. And we don't read books about rising above that. We are now told everyone has to accept me because of my limitations. Everyone has to change their perspective because of what's easiest for me. Everyone needs to accept me based solely on my baseline behavior. Never when I'm excelling, never. It's just whatever I show up as, that needs to be celebrated. In a book that was written about a tugboat now for a child, it would be the tugboat was silly and annoying, but and never helped with any work. But then the tugboat showed everybody that it's okay to be silly and fun and just be you. That would be today's book. It wouldn't be let the tugboat see the work and the community that's going on and he needs to join in. And that is the same mentality I'm seeing here. We live in an era that is constantly trying to whine and complain and find a reason why just complaining is enough. It's like, why are we even having a conversation about the color of her skin? Why are we even having a conversation about whether she's dark enough or light enough or any of that? Why does any of that matter? But it all comes down to the fact that it's something to do other than rise above and do something meaningful with our time. This professor at this school, this is the best he can say. That these are the words he's invited on CNN, and this is what he says. Let's just whine and complain and act like everybody needs to continue to capitulate to my victimhood and be sorry for me, and just all of this whining, complaining. The whole world has always been against me because of the color of my skin, and even this situation where this person has been represented to me as my voice in the royal family because she's a shade darker than Harry, and so, but I'm angry because she's not dark enough, and this is yet one more time, and I've been victimized, and this is yet one more time, and the whiteness wins. It's like, stop it. Stop. Everybody who's whining and complaining, just stop it. Go make something of your life. Because what is essentially happening here is that, well, the movers and the shakers of society, the people with the money and the power, they're going ahead and being and doing and running this world and giving all the commoners just a little something to fight about so that we'll sling mud and cry. Will they continue to be rich and famous and run the world? Do you want to be part of the powerful elite? I mean, if that is at all a concern for you, then shut up, stop crying, and go and be and do. And unfortunately, we're living in a world that more and more and more is awarding this kind of petty crying. But let me tell you something right now. The rewards for petty crying and carrying on are only so that you're going to, you might become well known. You will never be on top of the world. You are only useful in so much that you can keep the commoners crying and slinging mud and in a shambles. So you may be slightly elevated amongst the dirt, amongst the sad, pathetic peasants on the bottom. You may be a little elevated. You will never be truly important because you too are being used. So just go out and be a genuine person that helps their community and does real things. This kind of garbage is ruining the world. Move on from it. Anyway, I've gotten way off. During those first days of the afterglow, Meghan maintained her control of events. Just as the wedding guest list remained undisclosed, the couple's honeymoon destination was a guarded secret. If Meghan can't handle life in the royal goldfish bowl, suggested one observer, unaware of the growing tension in the palaces, no one can. All right, well, she can't handle it, and we're about to see everything come crashing down like 2 hot seconds after the wedding. Now, let us not forget that unseen, Oprah Winfrey was texting Meghan. They're besties now. Thrilled to be acknowledged by California royalty, Meghan was delighted that Oprah had visited Doria. Her only misgivings were directed at those within Kensington Palace, her staff and the Cambridges. None realized that she remained in constant contact with all of her advisors in California. Her entertainment lawyer, her business manager, and her publicists. She never intended to stay. And that is what became overwhelmingly clear in this chapter. This was the jumping off point for her to leave. And this is exactly, I think, a lot like, remember when she got married to Trevor? And how we said that it was weird that she had married him because from the beginning of their nuptials, she had been trying to erase the fact that it had even happened. And this is she's always so many steps ahead of the guy that she's with. Remember how she secretly got married to him in LA, had the paperwork buried, and then at the actual event, she wouldn't let anybody take any pictures. She destroyed the evidence, the videotape of the event. She destroyed that. The only person who had any pictures was her dad, who refused to put his camera away. So Meghan goes through life acting like she's right here with us and that she is experiencing everything just like, just like you are. No. She has everything mapped out, planned out, 15, 20 steps ahead. This wedding was her party to re-enter Hollywood. That's why all the celebrities were invited. That's why she kicked her dad off the list and invited an entertainment lawyer. I mean, it's unbelievable how blatant it is. And I think that people back then probably were putting pieces together. Certainly people in the palace who knew all about the guest list before the rest of the world did. But I don't know. I absolutely can tell you, I had no idea how clear it was that this was her party for herself and who she was hoping to be next. It had nothing to do with her wedding to Harry.